Hi everybody, welcome. Vicky from Yoga and Socks from Yoga as well. So today's short Yin Yoga session is introducing you to a theme that I will be looking at as I do every Thursday in more depth in my Thursday class. And so the theme today is about hips. So many people experience issues, for want of a better word, in the hip area, perhaps pain, tension, maybe putting weight on it, for example, can mean that you can't stand for particularly long periods of time. Perhaps you're a meditator, and when you sit for many minutes or hours even, then you find that difficult. It's difficult to focus on your meditation because you're too busy focusing on the pain that you're feeling in this region here. And then also, of course, many people struggle with being able to get into the shape that they want to get into, I suppose. They feel that they can't get into that particular pose that they want to do when it comes to yoga. So that's something that we're going to do, to look at, and then more in depth tomorrow night if you would like to join today. Hi Andrea, nice to see you. Say hi. Hi Connie, hi. Welcome, and welcome to everybody else who's there as well. I can see Linda, for example. Please do say hi. It's nice to feel some kind of community even though we're online. So let's begin. And I have lost my lesson plan, sorry. Right, so we're going to start with, I would like our target area to be the inside thigh. So I'm going to give you a few different options for this. The first option is to sit with the right leg out straight to the side, and then bend the left knee and bring that foot into the right thigh. It doesn't need to be directly in, wherever, somewhere around here. So what I want to feel is a stretch on the inside thigh. So then we fold forward, and you can move around. Fairly recently we did a lateral half dragonfly. That's what this is, half dragonfly. But this time we're doing a flexed. So folding forward. So I want you to move the body around and find where you get the best stretch here. You can move the leg as well, that's fine. And then allow yourself to relax into the pose for 3 minutes. I will start the timer now. Hi, Linda. Now we do want this leg out to the side, not to the front, because we want this stretch on the inside thigh. So find where you want to be, and then just see if you can release the muscles into the pose. So we're starting with the hip area here. We're opening the legs, abducting the legs is what we would say in a more technical way. And obviously there's a movement going on here in the hip joint with what we've done with the position of the legs and also what we've done with the position of the body. Now some people don't look, just listen. You just allow the body to relax, and I'm just going to tell you a couple of things that I do think are really important, particularly as we're looking at hips today. Some people are going to be folded forward really far here. Some people are just going to be up here, maybe a little bit forward, maybe even not very forward at all. And of course that will depend on where you've moved the position of your body and where you've moved the position of your leg. The point being, it's all dependent on which direction your hip socket is pointing. We've all got different shapes in the socket, and we've also all got different shaped bones. And this is going to affect, of course, this is going to affect the movements that we make. So just as a very simple example, if you've got a perfectly round socket, hip socket, and a perfectly inverted commas shaped bone that can just go very easily in all directions in that socket, then the likelihood is that you are going to be more able to fold forward and to move very easily left and right, and to have much more range of motion, of course, in that hip socket. But that's not the case for most of us. Nobody, very few people are perfect. And so, of course, what's going to happen is that bone is going to hit certain parts of the joint, of the socket, and that's going to limit you from moving into a certain position. So 3 minutes is up. Let's move up, and then we're going to go directly to the other side. So just bring that right leg in, left leg out. Now bear in mind what I've been saying here, because it's also different. It could be different from left to right as well. So you may find, for example, that actually you can move one leg out further to the side than the other. People have a tendency, not always, but people have a tendency traditionally in the yoga world, not so much now, to think this is because of tension in a particular muscle. This can be the case, certainly, why you can't move into a particular shape, why you can't open your leg as wide as you would like to, for example. But then just as easily, and particularly more so the more yoga you do actually, you will find that you just can't go any further, or you can't get into a particular shape. And that's not because of tension in a particular muscle group. Not necessarily anyway. But it's because of compression. So for example, that leg bone hitting the side of the socket here. And of course, once that happens, you're not going to go any further than that. Again, play with the position of the body. If you haven't already, hopefully you have. And you will find that there is, for example, I can fold much easier over my right bent knee. And I can't fold very far at all in the middle. But that may be completely different for you. And that may be tension in the muscles and the connective tissue. But it may just as easily be because of compression in your skeleton. I hope that makes sense. It's really important to remember. That's what changed my life actually with yoga, that realization. Just another 20 seconds or so. Using the breath, allow yourself to just release a little bit deeper into the pose. And on your next out breath, then just come back up. And you can just cross your legs here, or put them out, maybe put them out straight in front of you actually, for the rebound. No pressure anywhere. Close your eyes. Notice how the legs feel. So we've done this next pose quite recently, I think, different variations of caterpillar. This time I want to do it again in relation to what I just talked about, because it's a really good example to show. So, first of all, caterpillar, if you're okay with folding forward and you're getting a stretch in the backs of the legs and the back with both legs out straight, then great, stay here. If you're not getting that, so for example with me, if you're still looking, then you can see that I can't fold forward very far here, and also I'm not getting really any stretch in the backs of my legs whatsoever. I'm hitting compression here. The bones, in a simplistic sense, bone is hitting bone. I can't really go very much further than that. So if you're okay and you're feeling the stretch in the backs of the legs and you're feeling the stretch in the back, stay here. If not, then we're going to use the one leg variation. So you've done classes with me before, then you'll know what those are, or with other teachers, of course. So I'm going to give you a couple of variations. The first one is to bend the right knee and to bring it into the thigh again, but this time the left leg is straight out to the front so that we get stretch in the hamstrings. Fold forward, see if that feels better. Are you getting more stretch in the back of the leg? Are you getting more stretch in the back? We're looking more for the backs of the legs today, actually. That's more important. If this works for you, then stay here and I'll tell you when to go to the other side. Otherwise, another option I'll give you is, I'm just going to give you a couple today, is to bring that right leg back. Yeah, so the right foot is on the outside of the right hip. Then fold forward. See how that feels as well. Are you getting more stretch there? See, for me, I am getting more stretch definitely on my hamstring, but not so much in the back. That's okay for today because actually it's the hamstring we're more concerned with. This bent knee, that can be out to the side or it can be close to the other leg, it doesn't matter. So you choose which one's better for you. If you're still in the double caterpillar, normal caterpillar, just stay where you are. You're just going to be in slightly longer. And we're just going to be here for another minute. And then those of you who are doing the one leg version, we're going to go to the other side. Just allow yourself to relax. Make sure you don't feel anything that's hurting you anywhere. But we do want to feel that mild to moderate stretch on the back of the leg or legs, depending on what shape you're in. Now, if you're in a one-legged variation, then we're going to move to the other side. So, of course, this is a shorter amount of time than we would usually do. So either bringing the left foot into the thigh of the right leg with the right leg out straight and fall forward, or bringing that left foot to the outside of the left hip, playing with the position of the leg so that it's comfortable for you. The foot can be pointed or it can be up to the side. It doesn't matter. That leg doesn't matter. What matters is the stretch on the right leg this time. Now, if you find in either of these one-legged poses that you're still not actually getting that much stretch, then again, play with the position of the torso. So, of course, what's happening here in relation to the hip again is that we've moved the leg in the hip socket. But also what we're doing when we move the body is we're also moving, how can I explain? There's also movement going on in that hip socket, but from the upper part of the body. So it doesn't matter if you're a bit left or a bit right, as long as you've got that stretch in the back of the leg. And perhaps what you can notice here, I won't talk in the last pose, I promise, but I just think this is such an important point, is we're moving around that compression in the hip socket, where the bone's hitting the bone or the bone's hitting the tissue, and then ultimately you cannot go any further. So what we're doing is we're moving around that obstruction by maybe widening the leg, moving the body, changing the position of the leg bone in the hip socket. We're moving around it. We're practicing functional yoga. The sensations in the body, not the shape that it looks like. I can promise you we are all in completely different shapes now. Great. Okay, so let's move from this side. So slowly come up in whatever position you're in. And then let's lie on our backs for this one. Just for the rebound, noticing how the legs feel, maybe the back. Maybe bringing your attention to the hip joint. If you just want to bend the knees, rocking or circling, whatever you feel like you want to do. Depending on anything feeling a bit fragile, for me it's my lower back, so that's why I'm rocking. Maybe you want to shake out your legs. Maybe your legs want a bit of movement, and then come up in whatever way is best for you. And then what I want to finish with is a variation of swan. So if you came to the Yin Yang class on Monday, we did swan then, but I've recently learned quite a nice variation, but I want you just to watch me to start with. This is important because we always need to be very careful of the knee. So those of you who are fine with swan, then hands and knees, we'll all try first. Bring that knee forward, and then outside the right hand, then push that left leg back, so you're starting to feel a bit of a stretch, perhaps in the left hip flexors. And then for sleeping swan, this is swan. For sleeping swan, we fold forward, we want to feel a stretch in the inside thigh. Now, for me, certainly, you may be feeling this is fine here, so stay here as long as your knee is okay. If your knee is not okay, then I would suggest moving your foot more towards the groin, so it's not at so much of a right angle. In fact, it doesn't need to be at a right angle at all. However, if you're not really feeling it here, then we come up, we sit down on that right hip. You can bring that foot forward a bit, and then very gently, gingerly come back up again. Check the knee, is the knee okay? Fold forward, how is that feeling? And you can try that a few times, just making sure to sit down when you're bringing that foot forward, and then going up again, checking the knee, seeing how that is. Now, this alternative that I learnt, which I think is really nice, again involves sitting down on that right hip. Can you see okay? Sitting down on that right hip. Now you can bring this foot, especially if you're feeling this in the knee, you can bring this foot actually as far forward as you like, even so it's almost straight. Then rather than going back up though, because obviously that's not going to be good on the knee, please don't do that, then you're staying sitting down actually on that hip, but you're folding forward. So we're still playing with the position of the leg, we're still looking for that stretch on the outside right hip. Let me show you this way. And that back leg, you can bend that a bit as well if you want to. If you see, can you see? Yeah, I've bent this back leg here, actually. It doesn't need to be straight at all. I've bent it and I'm sitting down on my right hip. And this front leg is actually definitely straighter than it was before. Now I am feeling this in the IT glute, in the outer right hip, going into the right leg. That is our target area. This may look completely different from the pose, the sleeping swan pose that we did at the start. However, I'm not feeling this in my knee, but I'm still feeling it in the side of my right leg, in the outer right hip. Jackpot, then we got it. Target area, not what the pose looks like. I'm going to go this side as well in case anyone wants to see it this side. This is me though, and be so careful of your knee. Be so, so careful of your knee. That is your responsibility. I cannot see you. So after all my rabbiting, what we're going to do is we're going to stay here now for 2 minutes. Allowing the body to relax. Closing the eyes. And if you do feel at any point like it gets too much or you lose the stretch, then please adjust. Just make some small movements and pay attention to them. I've lost the stretch a bit, I'm going to move my foot forward. There we go, it's back. The last 10 seconds, just allow your muscles to release a little bit more towards the earth. And after the next out breath, then just walk the hands up and we will go directly to the other side. Gently, gently, gingerly. Onto hands and knees. If you want to go into a down dog just to pedal out the legs before we move to the other side, by all means, please do. And then hands and knees, bringing that left knee forward and out to the side as far as you need to. Sitting down on the floor if you want to bring that foot forward a bit before going back up. If this works for you, if you've got a good stretch, and nothing is hurting the knee, for example. I know I bang on about knees a lot, but of course there are other places as well. Perhaps you're feeling compression in the groin, for instance. Then try again, sitting down, bringing the foot forward to whatever point, experiment with it. But then once it's past, just be really careful with the knee. And you can stay down on the hip. You don't need to be up. You really don't need to be up. That's not important. Position that back leg however you want to, keeping it straight or bent or something in the middle, and then we're folding forward again. And also, as with all of these poses, as I said with the first two, the hip joint, of course, is, it's two different parts. It's the leg in the socket, but it's part of you've got the pelvic bone here as well. So it's not just about the leg, it's also about the position of the torso. So use that as well to get into the pose. Use the pose to get into the body, not the body to get into the pose. I think that's really, really important advice. Yoga is for you, not what other people see. For the last 30 seconds or so, if you feel like you want to adjust yourself a little bit, if it's too much or you want a bit more, then please do. And then just relax the muscles again. Maybe taking a deep breath in. Then as you breathe out, then just allowing the body to drop deeper naturally. And then we're coming up. Bringing both legs forward and moving into your Shavasana. So as always, you choose your Shavasana. Lying down on the floor, on your front, on your back, on your side. Legs straight, maybe knees bent. You can put something underneath your head if you want. Just be comfortable. Or you can sit for the last few minutes in your neutral, comfortable, keyword there, position. And wherever you are, just close your eyes. Take a deep breath in. Breathe out through the mouth and let the muscles relax, let the body release. In around 30 seconds, I'll ring the bell. So when you hear it, take your time moving from whatever position you're in back to a seated position if you're not there already. Keeping your eyes closed. Take your time to get there. And when you arrive to a seated position, then just bring the palms to the center of the heart. Then bring them out to the sides and up, palms together once more, down in front of the face, the forehead, the nose, the chin, down in front of the heart once more. Breathe in. And then as you breathe out, then just bow towards your heart. Namaste. Thank you for joining me. If you would like a much more immersive, this is just a taster, if you'd like a much more immersive class on the hips and the legs, then I've got my 75, thank you Andrea, you too, 75 minute session tomorrow night, so please do check out my events page if you'd like to join that. Otherwise, have a wonderful week to all of you, and I will see you sometime. Thanks, Constantia. Okay, see you tomorrow. Fantastic. Bye-bye.